What's happening, guys? Today's video I'm going to be reviewing GeForce Now on Windows and on an Android platform. I've got a really old, well not really old, but really low-end mini PC from a company called Adlaco, and then I'm going to use my Galaxy Tab S6. So stick around here and I'll go ahead and show you guys how it works. We're going to capture some gaming footage and demonstrate how GeForce Now works, what it's for, and all that good stuff. But I'll be right back.
Games.
If you haven't already done so, please click the like button, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment below. Thanks. Alright, so first off, we've got this, like I said, this device called Adlaco or Adloco. I'm not sure how it's pronounced, but it's a little mini PC. It's got a little Intel Atom-based processor. I think it's a Cherry Trail core, but it's quad core, but it's like 1.2 gigahertz or 1.3 gigahertz. It's pretty low-end CPU, very low wattage. I think this thing was about $80, but it does come with a full copy of Windows 10 on it, so that's pretty cool. And it's a fully functional PC. It's got like 4 gigs of DDR3 memory, and I believe it's got either 32 or 64 gigs of internal flash storage, just pretty much enough for the OS, so you can surf the web with it. But that's pretty much what it's for, is for web surfing. But it's got like a little, I put a Velcro thing on the back of it, and I had it wall-mounted for a while next to my TV in my kitchen, so I could just use it on the TV in there to surf the web and use like a Wi-Fi keyboard with it. But you see we got a couple, we got an SD card reader, a couple full USB ports on this side, USB 2s. We got one USB 3, HDMI out. You've got, Ethernet, your little power or headphone jack there, power jack, power button, and a VGA port on this thing. So I've had it for a little while. I actually almost forgot that I had it because it was just sitting in my kitchen. I really wasn't using it. And I tried, I'm not going to spoil the results or whatever, but I did try GeForce Now on it, and it surprisingly works. And like I said, this has got just about the lowest end, CPU that you would think would still probably be able to get the job done. And it has an Intel 520, I believe, HD, integrated GPU, which on their site, there's different system requirements, which I'll put up on the screen. But I had thought that you needed like a dedicated, decent, like older was okay, but you could use like a GTX 600 series or something like that, and that you had to have something, a bare minimum in that ballpark. But surprisingly, no, you can use GeForce Now on just about anything like this. So we've got this device. And then we've got the Galaxy Tab S6, which I used the other day when I was demonstrating that gamepad from 8BitDO. But we're going to try it on this as well, because this is an Android device, and that gives us two different things to try it on. I have had a little packet loss on my network when I use the Wi-Fi versus when I use Ethernet. So this probably by default may do a better job just because it has a dedicated Ethernet port. And I won't have any way to test it on here. But I'm going to capture gameplay footage. I've got this little adapter that will convert USB-C to HDMI out here from Insignia. This is something I bought at Best Buy a while back or something. But I should be able to run this to my capture card, my Evermedia on my desktop, to capture the gameplay from the tablet. And as far as the Adlaco goes, it has HDMI out, so I can just run it directly to my capture card, where we can capture the gameplay footage from both of them that way. So I'm going to go ahead and show you guys kind of how GeForce Now works and how it gets set up, and then we'll go ahead and we'll test some games on this. Alright, you can see I've already got it installed on this tablet, but you can just go to the Google Play Store, search for GeForce Now. It comes right up. It's the first one on the list. You download that, you install that, and if you don't have an account created already, you can Google GeForce Now and go to their website, or also you can create an account using the app. There's like a button that says if you don't have an account to sign in or create new user. So create yourself an account, and then once you've got that loaded up, it has your My Library section up here, and basically you search for games that you already own. So if you have a game on Steam, or if you've already got a game on like Uplay, you can go find those games. I'm not 100% sure if it's compatible with like EA's Origin. I haven't been able to find any games on that, so I'll put up on the screen. I'll find out, and I'll add that information to the video. Just don't know off the top of my head. But I couldn't find any games in there. Like, not that anybody plays Anthem really, but I looked for Anthem and it wasn't in there. and I couldn't find any of the Crisis games. So that's like one of the problems with it right now, is there's kind of limited games availability. Apparently, like a lot of these companies don't want their games on here because they want to have their own platform and they want to charge you to play the game on their platform. So it's like, it's a greed thing, of course. And so some of the games you can't get, but you can see at least I've got like Assassin's Creed Odyssey I have on here. I didn't buy that, I got it for free with a video card, but I have that on my Uplay account. So that's from Uplay. I got Far Cry 5 for my Uplay account, Gary's Mods from Steam, Grim Dawn's from Steam, Kingdom Comes on Steam, Metro Exodus on Steam, Bannerlord and No Man's Sky are on Steam. So I can search for games that I have. You tell it you want to find that game. So I'll see if I can find a game that I haven't installed yet, and we'll see. I'll show you how it works. Alright, so I searched for Half-Life 2. So there it is. I have that on Steam. So I'm going to go ahead and say I want to play Half-Life 2, which... so basically, the first time that you add a game using your Steam library, you have to basically supply your Steam credentials. It'll pop up with a little window asking you to log into your Steam account. You supply your username and password. It's kind of like, it'll treat it as if it's the first time you installed Steam on a new PC. So it'll send like a code to your email address, for example, and then you'll you'll type in whatever that code was, and poof. Once you've done it one time, it doesn't ask you to keep doing it. So you've unlocked your credentials basically on this device. And so let's see. I'll tell it I want to play Half-Life 2. And it says this game requires a gamepad, so I'm going to go ahead and pair up my 8-bit DO with the Galaxy Tab S. Actually, I think that's what I was using on yesterday, so it should work already. So I'm going to go ahead and use this, though, to try playing Half-Life 2. So let's try that. Alright, I got that paired up. I'm going to go ahead and connect. So, again, my Wi-Fi has been telling me lately that I'm getting packet loss on this. The mobile version of this, like I have on the Android tablet right now, has not been allowing me to, there's no option to test your network. Like on the desktop version, you go into like this little gear icon to check your settings, and you can do a network test to see like what kind of latency you're getting and what kind of network packet loss you might be experiencing. And mine, the latency has been good, but I've been getting a little packet loss, like around 2% for some reason when I'm on Wi-Fi. But if I use my Ethernet direct connection to that, it has zero packet loss and latency of around 25 to 30 milliseconds. All right, here we go. Let's just tell it we're gonna let it do whatever. Okay, so this is sort of different. It says it's downloading, but it should be almost an immediate installation of the game, because basically they've got all these games already on their server, and it's just allocating the files over to your account to let you use them. So there's no need to download any games. There's no patching or anything. Usually it's actually faster than this. Maybe I have to tell it to do something. Let me see here. I don't know why. Why is it making me look bad? Hold on a second. Alright, it only took it a couple seconds longer. I'm not sure why it was doing that. There may have been... I mean, basically it was like 358 megs, and it moved those files over. It's been faster than that in the past, so I'm not sure why it was a little bit slower that time. But that's the way it goes, I guess. Let's see. Tell it we want it to play. It's going to launch the game. And suddenly Half-Life 2 is working on a Tab S6. Now, I've not tried this game ever on a gamepad, so I don't know how well that's going to work for me, but give me 1 second here. Yeah, it's working. And I want to check my video settings. And it says that it's letting me... I don't know what it just did. I don't know why it closed that back out. It won't let me do anything with that. Alright, well, I guess I have to do that with my hand. For some reason it won't let me. Alright, whatever. So the game's running in 1080p. I think it kind of auto sets it based on what it perceives your network to be, as to how well it thinks that it could stream the game successfully to where it thinks it'll give you a good experience. So that's why I picked 720p. It's probably picking up that packet loss that I'm having with my with my network. Now again, it's like it doesn't want me to... It won't let me select the menu, so that's sort of annoying. Like it says I have to use a gamepad, but it won't let me select things out of the menu with the gamepad. So I guess maybe there's some work to be done on this Android tablet version of it. But I'm not going to sit here and make you watch the opening sequence. What I am going to do is try to capture some gameplay now. But you can see it's definitely working, so give me 1 second and we'll record some gameplay.
Detected. Attempting protection. Stabilization in progress in this community. Response. Isolate. Inquire. Detention. Unidentified person of interest. Unidentified person of interest. Concern for status with local protection.
Alright, as you can see, it definitely worked. I'm not particularly good at playing that game with a gamepad, and I'd never tried it. It took a while to get used to the buttons. I kind of fiddled around with it for a while there before I was even halfway competent with moving the character around. It's just, I've never been very good with these double joysticks to look around. I'm just used to using a mouse. It's been so long since I really was into console gaming, and back in the days when I played consoles with any kind of regularity, it's like you didn't even have joysticks like that. It was just the cross pad, and most games were 2D. So I'm just used to playing with a keyboard and mouse, especially a shooter like that. So maybe that was a bad title to use as a demonstration, but it definitely works. And you can see that it looked pretty good. Like I'm playing, you can see in the background I got my monitor there, so I just basically have piped the tablet to my AverMedia capture card, and then it goes back out over HDMI because it does this pass through, and then you can play on the display over there. So even if you had a small device, this would work just as well with my phone. I just happen to be using my phone to record this. Otherwise, I was going to demonstrate that too. I just felt like that would be a little bit redundant doing the same thing twice. But you could take your phone, install GeForce Now, get a device like I've got there, which basically converts the USB-C port into HDMI, connect that to a television set or however, and have some kind of a gamepad like this with you, or Bluetooth mouse and keyboard. If games support that, you could probably play them that way just as well. But have a reasonably good gaming experience in 1080p. I didn't really have any lag there or anything like that. The most problems I was having was trying to get used to playing with the gamepad because I'm terrible. But that's me. That's not you. So don't worry. That's not like we're not going to blame the service just because I'm not particularly good at running games with a gamepad. But next we'll try the Adloco, and I'll show you how well that does. Because again, that thing has really. I mean, that tablet is. I don't think they have a Tab S7 yet. So the S6 is probably still the most recent Galaxy Tab that's out. So that's a state-of-the-art Android device, pretty much close to in parity with my my phone, which is the Galaxy 7 S20 Ultra 5G. So they have comparable hardware. So that's a recent Android tablet. But this thing, although it's it's not that old, but like I say, the hardware in it is not powerful. It really kind of doesn't even run Windows that fast. but we'll see here in a minute that it too can game. So for the price of, you know, about an $80, or maybe you can find somebody selling one of these used on Craigslist or from a similar model. It doesn't have to be the Adlaco. There's lots of little mini PCs like this, you know, around. Or even you could probably go on Amazon and find like a refurbished model or a used one, again like this, for, you know, $50 or $60 or something. Get a keyboard and mouse, hook up to your TV. You can suddenly play any of your PC games on max or near max settings at 1080p as long as you have a decent internet connection. And that's sort of the crux of it, is having a decent internet connection. But next up, I'll go ahead and we'll show you the Adlaco. Be right back. Alright, I've hooked up the Adlaco and we've got our little GeForce Now installed on here. Same place you should get, well, you just go to the GeForce Now website and download the Windows application for it. They also have a Mac OS application on there as well if you have a Mac and you want to try this. I don't have any Apple devices, so I won't be able to test that, unfortunately. But got these two here. So this, while we're waiting for this to load, I'm just going to show you guys what kind of hardware this thing has, because this is pretty bare bones system here. So that's a little faster than I thought, but it's pretty close to what I thought I said. So this is the Adlaco Z830 Pro, or Z83 Pro, sorry, and it has an Intel Atom Z8350 CPU at 1.44 gigahertz. So sorry, it is a true quad core, but it is not hyper-threaded, and it has 4 gigs of memory, but it's DDR3. And so I mean, this is like bare bones for what you'd probably want to be trying to use to run anything, you know, just even to run this OS. I mean, it gets around on Windows okay, but it's not like it's like a high-end experience or anything. But you can see here, okay, that's no problem. Okay, so we got the same access to the same games. Actually, I didn't see it offer me Quake RTX last time. Maybe I just missed it. Maybe you have to run that on a Windows platform. I'm not sure. That's interesting. But so yeah, you can do ray tracing games on here, and they will work. If you own a ray tracing game, I have Quake RTX, and that will run just fine. In fact, we could use that for the demonstration if you like. So I'm going to go ahead and load this up, and once again, we'll record this with my other system, and you can see the gameplay, again, run on this very bare bones hardware.
Establish communications. Priority out. 30% failing by sidetrack. Any squad leaders this freak fall back to
Alright, so you can see that did a good job. Like I said, this is extremely low-end hardware. not enough to run any games really natively at all, let alone a ray traced game like Quake RTX, which if you watched any of the demos of that, and I played it on my channel before, even with the 2080 Ti and a 9900K or 3950X CPU, like it won't run amazing. I mean, it'll do fine at 1080p, but like it's a system heavy game, and yet works just fine. I'll show you here the network test real quick, like I was talking about. Now this is with a wired Ethernet connection, but over Wi-Fi I'm having a little trouble. But this will give you an idea of like the kind of network settings or latency that they recommend. Give us a second here, but I think they want you to have like sub 30 milliseconds of latency, and what is it? Like a 50 meg or greater connection is the recommended amount. So this says I have no frame loss and my latency milliseconds is 26 milliseconds. So the requirement is 80 milliseconds or better. They recommend 40 or better for latency, and for frame loss it requires under 2 and recommends under 0.5, because really when you start dropping packets you're going to start experiencing all kinds of aberrant behavior between lag and like rubber banding and all kinds of stuff that really will kind of annihilate the fun part of it, especially even like on a single player game. That's the downside of this service too, is like you're playing single player games on a network, which means that if you don't have a really good connect, you're playing multiplayer games on here too if you want, but say like if you're playing a single player game on a network and you're dealing with the lag side of it, it's kind of like like how much lag do you really want to deal with on your single player game? But it's very advantageous. It's $5 a month. The first 3 months are free if you pay or if you join the Founders Program. They do have a limitation on how long you're allowed to play and what they consider a session, which basically means like you load up the game, that's considered a session. And from what I read, it limits you to 6 hours, which is a long time to play a game anyway. And as soon as you end that game session, that's considered over, and then you can start again from a new session. But what they call that like they'll put you in a queue if there's a waiting list of other people playing ahead of you or whatever. But I've not experienced that, and I don't think there's enough people using this service for that to be a problem. Now in the future, if this becomes very popular, it could be, but unless they really add a bunch of games to it, like I said, I had pretty good experience with some of the games that I own are on here, but a lot of the games that I own are not on here. I've got games on Steam, I've got games on Uplay, and I've got games on EA's Origin launcher, and I have some games in the Epic Store that I've received for free from one thing or another. And a lot of the games I have are not on here. Like none of the Crisis games are on here. Final Fantasy, I think it's 15 is the most recent one. That's not on here that I can find. I read that there's a way that like if you added the game to your Steam library as a shortcut, supposedly there's a way to go into Steam within GeForce Now and add games that they don't technically even support. I don't know how to do that yet. That's something I could look into. If people want to know more about it, please ask in the comment section, but right now I don't know how to do that. But you get the idea. I guess if anybody has any questions, please ask them in the comment section below. I hope you liked the content. If you did, please give the video a thumbs up. Please consider subscribing to the channel, and I'll see you guys next time. Take care.